We had Bill DeWitt III on the show. He was saying that they're going to tax themselves an extra 1%. So what's the big deal? That seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, so there's a difference between wanting and needing. And for one, the Cardinals do not need this extra subsidy. They want it. And that's no fault of their own. You know, businesses are trying to make the most profits that they can.
Right.
We can say that they're just taxing themselves, right? It's just going to be an extra sales tax in this district. But I think there's a double-edged sword there. If you want to say it's just a tax, why don't the Cardinals just increase their prices by 1% if they want that extra money?
So why do they want the sales tax as opposed to just raise the prices of 1%?
It's an interesting question. It's one way to hide ultimately the real prices of your goods and services from consumers. People who go to a Ballpark Village aren't going to see that extra 1% when they go up to the bar and order a beer. We saw a hotel in Kansas City, the Intercontinental, a great luxury hotel, was declared blighted and was able to implement another 1% sales tax, just like the Cardinals are seeking here. And it was only to hide the ultimate price, the real price of their rates from consumers. And I think there might be something similar going on here in St. Louis.
Well, but in terms of taxpayer funded or everything else, this is much different than, say, Centene that just wants flat out tax rebates for the taxes they pay. This is, the Cardinals are saying, it's 6 and 1 half a dozen. We raise the sales tax, we raise the price of a beer. The customer still knows, or should know, or has the opportunity to know, that if you want to buy a beer across the street, it's less expensive.
Yeah, that's right. At least with this subsidy that they're recently asking for just now. But the first phase of Ballpark Village received tens of millions in TIF from both the city and the state. And so the total public subsidy for both Phase 1 and 2 for Ballpark Village is $66 million. So it's not just this TDD sales tax that they're looking for.
Right. From what I understand of Ballpark Village, or the ballpark originally, they got a loan from the county, which they have to pay back, and then they got some infrastructure costs taken care of, some ramps, some streets being moved. But I would think that a company or a business that is putting $400 million into development, I don't think it's that unreasonable to ask a community to sort of help us build a ramp to make it easier for 3 million people to get to a ballpark.
Yeah, no, there are reasonable asks and there are some not so reasonable asks. And I think some basic infrastructure improvements are reasonable. And we're past that at this point. But now the Cardinals are coming back and they're asking taxpayers for another handout. And again, we all love the Cardinals, but there's a difference between wanting and needing something. And
Right.
It seems like the Cardinals just want this $16 million.
Yeah.
They really don't need it.
So just so I understand this, they're only asking for the extra 1% sales tax on stuff within the Ballpark Village.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Just within the district.
Yeah, which is, again, might be over the line, but there are varying degrees, whereas Centene is asking for completely over the line when they want to build their new building in Clayton, as opposed to what the Cardinals want.
I can't compare them too much. I think they're asking for different things at this point, yes.
Right.
And to get downtown property in Clayton declared as blighted, that seems a bit more crazy than what's happening here with the Cardinals.
And let's not forget, just a few months ago, we spent $17 million to develop a stadium plan for a man who didn't want to be here, who we were then going to spend an exorbitant amount of money for a stadium for a guy who didn't want to be here. So in terms of public subsidies and public giveaways, this is probably the least offensive of all of them.
Sure, right? But that's a pretty big... it doesn't help to be the least worst ask around.
No, so. I understand that. But again, 1% sales tax, of all the things that are being taken advantage of these days, I would think that is the least of the problems out there.
I think that's a fair opinion. I think, again, it's a difference between wanting and needing,
right,
and us really stepping back and asking if taxpayers really need to cough up more of their cash to help a really well-off team. I just looked it up. The Cardinals are worth, at least in 2015, $1.4 billion.
$1.4 billion.
If a corporation that wealthy needs taxpayer help, I think our eyebrows should go up.
Right, I understand, but taxpayer help, they're taxing themselves, so it's 6 and 1 half a dozen. I see your point, but it isn't like they want to give Stan Kroenke money to develop another Walmart in a floodplain over in Maryland Heights.
It's not that bad, no.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Graham, where can we read more about this?
You can read more at our website. It's showmeinstitute.org. We'll have some stuff on Ballpark Village up today.
Graham, policy researcher at the Show Me Institute. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, McGraw.
842 here, Big 550, KTRS. Let me tell you about Hugh.